VAR, are you a fan? Is it a farce? Is it ruining the sport?
I think it's a farce, to be quite honest. The reason being that the referee takes such a long time before he gets it through, and then an hand in front, offside's ridiculous.
So if you look at something like rugby league, the referee is microphoned and you can hear what he has to say on the pitch.
Yeah.
Now at the Community Shield the other week, there was a decision made and it came up on the boards, red card decision, and then 30 seconds later it said no red card. Nobody in the ground had any idea what was going on.
No.
Do you think the referees should have microphones?
Yeah, definitely.
So there's fan interaction.
Yeah, we've got to have VAR, so we might as well have something where we know what it's about.
Exactly. We come to the games every week, we should be informed, right?
We should be, yes.
Okay. VAR, is it a VA arse, a VA farce, or are you fucking loving it?
For me, it's a VA farce. I used to be a referee. I don't like all the changes and everything like that. I think it slows the game down. I think it takes all the competition out of the game. Just let the referees do what they want. And then when it comes to decisions like penalties and stuff like that, then you can get involved, but not the offsides that, you know, like Ian Sterling's last week for the armpit. It's an absolute joke. Absolute joke, that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good in a way if it's clear and obvious and that sort of thing, but I think sometimes you just got to work with benefit of the doubt and just let the officials do the job. And if they made a mistake, they made a mistake. But I think sometimes it has got to be like clear and obvious type thing.
VAR, is it VA arse?
Rubbish.
Is it VA farce?
Farce.
Why?
How can you have an offside? You have a picture of the play and it's not perpendicular with the play. How can you tell if the man's offside? It's not in line. When you're having the millimetres off the shoulder, how can you tell if that camera angle isn't dead in line with it?
Let's be honest. When it's an arm, you can't work that out. A little arm.
Armpit.
Yeah. How can that work? Surely it should go for your feet. Your feet's not offside. That's what you use.
But what about the other side of it? What about
I was all in favour of VAR when it came in, and we get shit decisions all the way through.
What about fan interaction? If you're in the stadium, for example, at the Community Shield, all the boards flashed up VAR red card decision, and then it popped up saying 5 seconds later, VAR no red card. Nobody had a clue. Do you think the referees perhaps should have microphones?
Watch the European Super Cup Liverpool. They had none of that. When it was offside or whatever the goals were scored, they didn't show anything.
Okay.
And then you look at the goal, the penalty at the end, when Adrian's clearly a foot off the line, which has been banned this season.
If you're watching on Sky Sports, the commentators will tell you, here's what they're reviewing. If you're watching rugby league and you're in the stadium, you'll hear from the referee. Should we have mic'd up referees?
Well, okay. Referee should communicate with the forward official that's on the line, and he should pronounce it.
Okay.
Should be mic'd up. Definitely should be mic'd up. They're talking through the decision then, and it's all clear as day. Then there's no fix of the football. There's no murky parts.
It keeps the fans in the stadium included,
The thing
right?
is, though, with VR, what I don't like about it is that you can't sort of cheer the goal on. You understand what I mean? You get a goal, you think it's a goal, then you've got to wait 10 minutes. It's ridiculous, it's too slow, it needs to be quicker.
Being the team we were, and the decision we had against us was all in favour.
Yeah.
And then, no.
What do you think of VAR?
I like it sometimes. Sometimes I don't.
Do you not
like
think
it.
that it removes the cheering and the celebrations and makes fans one step removed?
Well,
It
only
does,
if it
because
goes
now-
in our favor. Only if it goes in our favor, okay? Only then.
Which it will, because everyone hates City. This is a little impromptu meeting, and we're going to call it Man City TV Fan Rant Raw, because we're going to get annoyed and we're going to speak for about half an hour. I'm with Martin, and Martin's going to tell me exactly why the Premier League referees, UEFA, FIFA, and the fucking Cartel are ruining football for all of us. Well, not for all of us. Why the Cartel and all the rest of them are ruining football, specifically for Manchester City Football Club.
Nobody actually understands what the bleeding hell's going on with it. They've had so many meetings about this VAR. Apparently everyone's been, commentators have been for Sky, BT commentators have been, the all former referees have been to this. But the people who haven't actually had it explained to fully are the actual people who are actually at the game.
Right, so people like me and you
Yeah.
who are in the ground.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe with VAR, well, one of fuck me, I've got about 17,000 gripes with VAR, but one of them is the fact that the match-going fan is put at a disadvantage to anyone who watches at home, and football just shouldn't be like that. I love the fact that if I have to watch a game at home, that I can watch many angles, many replays. I've got other people, commentators telling me, here's how you should feel about the situation potentially. Here's this situation explained to you. But why on earth are the people at the match totally in the dark? We're like, fed on shit, like mushrooms kept in the dark. That's how I feel. But we're not even fed on shit because we're told nothing.
Yeah, but me and you and other match-going fans shouldn't have to be told, or shouldn't have to rely on using our mobile phones on Twitter and everything else, and to text our mates and family and whatever to find out what the hell's going on. We're the ones that are paying the hundreds of pounds in the ground, but people sat in front of the TVs know more than we do. And we're the ones at the ground, and I appreciate that. But yesterday, what really annoyed me, I thought we were going to be told there was a VAR review, and there was nothing. The first time I knew anything that goal had been disallowed was when the Spurs fans cheered.
So you're talking specifically about the game against Tottenham. Now, what I want to talk about more than that, Martin, is at Wembley against Liverpool, there was a VAR review conducted. And as I've said previously on other videos, nothing was explained to nobody inside the ground. I'm sure if I was watching at home on BT or Sky, whatever it was, I would have been told by the commentators, by the way, the VAR officials are checking a decision between Gomez. Was it Gomez or was it Alexander-Arnold and Bernardo to see if it's actually a stamping and to see if it's a red card decision. In the ground, all that happened was on the middle tier, around the middle tier at Wembley, it flashed up saying VAR red card review. And then a minute later, it said no red card. And the Liverpool fans and the City fans cheered because nobody had a fucking clue inside the ground who the decision was potentially going against, who the potential red card was going to... Unless you were sat in that Liverpool corner where the actual incident happened, 90% of the ground had no fucking clue what was going on. And then, last week against West Ham away, fair enough, we won the game 5-0, but there's a fucking decision being made there with a NASA fucking ruler to adjudge that Raheem Sterling's goal-scoring armpit is fucking offside. Now, granted, we're already a couple of goals up in the game, and granted, that had no bearing on it, but what is the fucking point? Nobody was made aware of anything in the ground. Nobody. There's no communication between the football officials, VAR officials, the referee on the pitch, and the fans in the stand. And then again, against Tottenham on Saturday, fuck me, everyone watching at home and watching in the stands could see that Rodri was dragged and grabbed and thrown to the floor by his fucking neck. And the referee doesn't even want a second look at it. Because he's told in his earpiece, the earpiece official is telling him, nah, not worth a review. Now, I thought that the referee on the pitch was the one in charge of the game. Why is that not true anymore? Why is the referee on the pitch not allowed to make his own decision about whether he needs to see it again or not? Why is that referee on the pitch? Other than the fact that the referee on the pitch is a fucking total bottle job and part of the cartel, why is he not saying, hold on, I might need to have a second look at this? Why has nothing been happening there? And then why, in the second half, in the dying throes of the second half, Laporte is having his fucking arm dragged into the fucking direction of the ball. It doesn't even hit fucking Laporte's arm. It hits the defender's arm, which traditionally, that would be a penalty, maybe, if it's in the box. It's being written off as completely fucking nothing. What the fuck is going on? And nobody in the ground. You know what? I'll tell you what, Martin, just before you come in, mate, because I'm going to let you come in and you can go on a rant as well. But what happened yesterday was, for the first time ever as a Manchester City fan, after the fucking PTSD that I got in the Tottenham game in the Champions League, I didn't even celebrate the first or second goal we scored because I felt that something was just going to fucking stitch us up again. And then, like a fucking idiot that I am, I actually celebrated the third goal. And then, fuck you, we're ruined, absolutely fucking written off. And then when we actually get outside the ground and we can get a Wi-Fi signal and we can look on Twitter or we can look on whatever, both decisions are absolutely fucking... The first one is a stone cold penalty. Even fucking Match of the Day, who doesn't like us, Danny Murphy and all the rest of it, said, why is that not a penalty? Everyone on Twitter, why is that not a penalty? If that happened to my club, I'd be raging. What's going on? Why is that not a penalty? And then the second one, why is that even handball? Why is that even considered for review? Why is that incident considered for review? And the first half incident with Rodri is not considered for review. Who makes these fucking rules up?
Well, this is my big thing. I'm a little bit confused on who is in charge of what anymore. And this is my big thing. You've got the referees. Now, I've read today that the referees are in charge of the game.
Bullshit. Bullshit. I've been looking at that Tottenham game. Absolute fucking bullshit. The referee on the pitch is in charge of that game.
Now, you look at that Tottenham game. Now, from what I've read and what I've heard and what I've read on Twitter and everyone else, because I've heard all former referees today have come out and said things. The official line is, and this is the official line from the FA and everything else, that Oliver saw that incident yesterday with Rodra. He did not think it was a penalty. It is Oliver's job, not the VAR's job, to ask for advice. That's the bit that I'm confused about. Is I don't know anymore who is in charge of the games. I thought if Oliver misses something, the VAR are meant to come in and say, you missed that, you need to have another look at it. But from what I've heard, read, and everything else today, Oliver didn't think that was a penalty, and so he didn't go to VAR, because what they've turned around and said is that they don't want to take the game away from the referee. The referee's still in fucking charge. But here's the problem. We're still back to where we was last season 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. The VAR are there to help, but they're not helping because we're still back to where we were. And the VAR, but then the VAR jumping at yesterday where Oliver didn't think there was anything wrong. Not even the Tottenham players thought there was anything wrong. You just look at Hugo Lloris's reaction afterwards when he's laughing his head off. He ain't laughing because the goal's been disallowed. He ain't laughing because Tottenham have got away with one. He's laughing because the whole situation is a complete and utter fucking joke.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why he's laughing. He's taking the piss. Every single Spurs player was on the floor. You look at Harry Kane's reaction when that goal goes in. He's on the floor, devastated.
Now, Hagi reminded me of a situation that occurred a couple of years ago. Do you remember when they brought in an interference rule in the penalty area, and Raheem Sterling gave away a penalty against Ryan Shawcross? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And that was so everyone fucking shook their heads at that point as well, wondering how's Raheem Sterling bullied this fucking massive Ryan Shawcross. And that was sort of the start of it. That was the downward turn. That was the pathway to VAR was laid in them, because they soon scrapped that off when they realised it was a fucking bunch of nonsense. And then even in this season, they've decided to say that actually in future, decisions like what happened to Raheem Sterling against West Ham with the fucking armpit offside goal, maybe they shouldn't review those sorts of things. But where are we going to get to? I mean, I also think, Martin, that basically what's going to happen is there's going to be games coming up very soon in the next couple of weeks where Liverpool and Man United and whoever else is involved in the cartel are going to have decisions go against them, like what we saw against City. But it's going to come at a point where they're already 2 or 3 goals up. You know what I mean? So somebody can turn around and say, you see, well, we make the same decisions against Liverpool and United, but obviously the difference being that they'll be 2 or 3-0 up at that point, because they just want to they just want to keep us fucking buried.
Well, the thing that worries me is last week at West Ham. Now, obviously, I wasn't there; I was away on holiday, but I'm watching it on TV. You know the penalty that was retaken.
Yeah.
This is what worries me. The BT commentators even said last week that it was retaken. Remember, because of the rule of a goalkeeper has got to have 1 foot on the line at all times.
Well, I heard that they actually scrapped that rule, or they changed that rule or some bullshit, because it happened in the Super Cup in the midweek. The same thing happened in the Super Cup midweek when Tammy Abraham goes to take the penalty for Chelsea. The Liverpool keeper's already fucking 3 yards off his line.
So, but there's another thing which UEFA have different rules. I've been told different rules than what the FA have got. Because if you look at that game, I think there was it an overhead kick where there was a blatant handball by someone. Now, as far as I was aware, and for going off yesterday's game, whether it's accidental or not, it's a penalty, which we saw in the Champions League last season, didn't we? When Otamendi got done. Was it Otamendi got done for a handball against Hoffenheim?
Hoffenheim, yeah. And then, I thought that's why they changed the rule again. I thought after the Nicholas Otamendi incident and the United versus PSG incident and other incidents that occurred that season, I thought that's why they re-changed the rule again, so that it'd be any contact with the arm inside the area that leads to a goal or a goal-scoring opportunity or something would just be stricken off. So that's why apparently technically yesterday wasn't a penalty or some shit. I don't fucking know anymore, Martin. I don't know anymore. I go to a pitch. I go to watch a match every week at different grounds or whatever. But what's the point in me going there anymore? Because I don't understand the rules of football anymore. Football's been taken away from me. It has been taken away from me.
As I was saying about the BT commentators, they said last week, and this is the BT commentators that have got all the access to all screens and everything else. They said the Aguero penalty was retaken because the goalie had come off his line. We then find out
it hadn't. They changed their mind. They said it was retaken because the fucking
because Rice had got into the box for encroachment. But then if you look at the retaken penalty, there's at least another 3 or 4 in the penalty area again for encroachment. So if they're following the letter of the law, it should have been retaken again.
Exactly. It's just,
so to me,
pure fucking nonsense.
Along. And the scary thing is, because I was reading what Keith Hackett used to say. He's been on Twitter today, former head of the referees, and he said it's not actually former referees that are in charge of this VAR. Is the scary thing. It should be people like Ellery and all these other, former top-level referees. Put them in charge of the VAR.
Look, a couple of months ago, Martin, in one of my podcasts, I made the very same point, which is at the minute we don't have good enough top-level officials on the pitches. So where the fuck are these VAR officials going to come from? Where are they coming from? If they just go to a college or a university and do a fucking BTEC and a degree or something in VAR technology, they've had no real life experience. They've had no fucking experience on the pitch. They're just made up people. You know what I mean? They've got no game experience. They've got a degree in it, maybe at the most, or sports science or something like that. But we don't even have good enough quality referees on the pitches in the first place. So how the fuck are we supposed to expect to put 4 or 5 officials in a fucking sea container somewhere with a bunch of TV screens and have them know any better? It's obscene. It's so fucking. They've not thought anything through at all in the slightest. And if they have thought it through, what they've thought through is how the fuck can we screw over Manchester City as much as possible? It's fucking bullshit.
Been rushed through this. Now that's going to sound really patronising, but it's rushed it through when we've had years of. It was being tested in the World Cups and everywhere else. It's been rushed. It's either been rushed through to get it in the Premier League, or
it's been rushed through to stop Manchester City. That's what it's been fucking rushed through for.
Explained to everyone in a rush way because nobody understands anything about it. And it's like you said, can't celebrate a goal anymore. Could you imagine the Aguero goal in 2012?
Oh, yeah, that's been written off by VAR.
Balotelli, he gets pulled down, but he's also fouling himself a little bit. Could you imagine that goal being ruled out in the 93rd, in the 93-20 minute? Could you imagine that? And the meltdown.
Oh, of course. But the thing is, Martin, let me just go on something here a little bit, right? Last season, when we saw City and Liverpool fighting it out for the title, there was quite a few examples of Liverpool scoring offside goals. And I will be honest and say that I was one of the people that actually thought I was stupid enough to believe that VAR would be brought in to address situations like that, like scoring of offside goals and offside players that lead to goal scoring opportunities. I thought that's what VAR was for. It turns out VAR is not for that.
It's to stop because he can't beat us on the pitch.
I can't. Other than the fucking tinfoil that conspiracy, I can't actually work out what VAR is for. If it's not to fucking make sure that players were onside when they lead up to a goal and stuff like that, something that an official or a linesman can get wrong, then what's it for?
But here's the term man said it was going to be like cricket and like tennis. It's actually nothing like it because when you go to a cricket game, the fans inside a cricket match know exactly what is being reviewed. They talk through it. At rugby, all the referees are mic'd up.
We already had the matter-of-fact technology. We already had the cricket-style matter-of-fact technologies with goal line technology. We already had that in the sport.
But we don't hear anything. All we see, like yesterday's Oliver, drawing a square with his hands and pointing at his ear. That's all you get.
Yeah, that's all you get. Being told that there's nothing wrong here. Carry on.
Exactly. It needs to be explained properly, and there needs to be. And then they brought these rule changes in, like this handball. The thing that's really funny about it is the bleeding handball rule was fucking changed because of the Lorente goal that he scored against us last season. So really, we've been shafted twice by that.
Do you actually understand the new handball rule? So it's rule number 12, and it's an offence if a player deliberately touches the ball with their hand or their arm, including moving the hand and their arm forwards towards the ball, gains control of the ball after it has touched their hand's arm, and then scores in the opponent's goal, creates a goal-scoring opportunity, scores the opponent's goal directly from the hand or the arm, even if accidental, including by the goalkeeper. Now, yesterday, what happened was, It struck the underside of the defender's arm, so the defender wasn't gaining an advantage. It actually carried on the same trajectory as it would have gone if it had made no contact with the arm. So the attackers didn't necessarily gain an advantage either, yet the goal was still disallowed. So the rules are there. I've just stated the rules to you, and none of those rules were infringed by actually what happened yesterday. So how was it fucking adjudged to not be a goal? Nobody deliberately touched the ball. So that's number one, check. Nobody's arm or anything like that moved towards the ball. Their arms were in a static position, not moving towards the ball. Nobody gained possession as a result of the ball touching someone's arm. Nobody gained control as a result of somebody's arm touching the ball. Nobody scored in the opponent's goal because that didn't directly happen. That was another 2-3 seconds later when Jesus got the ball, then took 2 or 3 touches. So that's not an example of that. And nobody created a goal-scoring opportunity because of the handball, which hit the underside of the Tottenham player's arm. Nobody created a goal-scoring opportunity because the trajectory and the momentum of the ball didn't change after contact with the arm. Nobody scored in the opponent's goal directly from their hand or their arm, like Loriente last season in the Champions League. And there was no accidental contact with the ball, including by the goalkeeper. So none of those rules have been violated. So why was it ruled off? Why was it ruled out? That's the rules in there, according to their terminology.
The only thing I could think of is to stop us scoring in the winner. Because as you said, Jesus, he still had a lot to do. It's not as though it's come off anybody's hand, accidental purpose, whatever you want to say. It's not as though it's come off his hand, like Lorente last season, gone in the net. It's come down, the ball has not changed at all, not changed direction at all. It's done nothing to the play. Jesus has still had to, he's took the ball down, controlled it. He still had to get an opening for himself and put the ball in the net. My question is, how long do you let play go on before you go? It's very much like the the offside used to have the first phase, second phase of play.
Yeah. So what if there was let's say, Martin, that alleged handball still takes place in the penalty area like it did yesterday, but then Ndombele gets on the end of the ball, breaks away and scores the goal for Tottenham at the other end. Does that get ruled out?
Well, it should do. Well, there's one today. I watched Sheffield United Crystal Palace game. There was it didn't just strike one hand. I think at Sheffield United, somebody hit the ball. It was going towards the net, and it struck the arms of 2 players. Now, according to the law, whether it's accidental, purpose, whatever, it's hit 2 arms. The arms were up. It wasn't reviewed. It wasn't anything. So within less than 24 hours, you've had another incident of a ball hitting 2 arms in a penalty box and nothing is looked at.
Well, yeah, because City weren't playing. It's as simple as that.
This is going to cause more problems than anything. And I watched Sunday Supplement this morning. I can't remember the guy who was on it, but he even said, I told everyone VAR was a bad decision, but the problem is it's here to stay now. And unfortunately, it is here to stay.
But Martin, the way that VAR should have been implemented was not a bad decision, but it wasn't implemented in the logical way that it should have been implemented. It should have been implemented, like I said, if a player is fucking up, like for example, the Wolves goal last season. When Wolves scored a goal against City at the Molineux, it hit a player's arm, and then the next player to touch it was in an offside position, and they scored a goal. That's what VAR should have been for, that sort of thing. And fair play, if the same thing would have benefited City, if it would have been City at Molineux who broke away and got an offside handball goal, then that's what VAR should have been for. I'm not looking for City to be immune to VAR. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for VAR to actually be used in the correct fucking way. And how it's being used right now, Martin, is not used in the correct way. It's being used to directly fucking punish Manchester City.
It's being used to influence results, because I totally agree with you, like the Aguero goal against Arsenal last season. If VAR would have been used in that, do you know when he sort of hit his arm?
When he nudged, yeah.
That's where VAR should come in and go, no, he's put it in with his arm, ruled out. So I'm like you. I'm not saying it should benefit City, because like I said, with the Aguero goal last season, that's where VAR comes in.
It should be neutral. VAR should be neutral, but it's impossible for it to be neutral because it's fucking subjective to the people in the fucking control room, and nobody knows who these anonymous characters are. It could be fucking Richard Scudamore and all these fucking buddies for all we know. Nobody knows who they are. You know when a match referee gets picked, Martin. When a match referee gets picked, they say, right, this match referee can't have any association with fucking the two clubs playing in the game. And that's always been a law since day one. I bet that's a law for the VAR officials as well. But nobody will fucking ever know whether it's a law or not, and nobody will ever know who the fuck they are.
Because what was Thingy doing, reffing the Manchester Derby then last season? He was a so-called Altrincham fan when half his family is season holders at United. I can't even remember the one.
Right, well, we already know that system's completely broken and it's fucking bullshit. I get that, but what I'm saying is nobody knows who the VAR officials are. The VAR officials are all cloak and fucking dagger. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows. And the slightest front, who gave them the accreditation? Do they have to go through exactly the same training as the matchday referees go through? If not, why not? And if they do, who are they? What other leagues have they refereed in? What other lines of work have they been in the past? Who the fuck are they?
Well, apparently they're not allowed. This is something else Keith Hackett said today. The reason it's been given is why a referee. So, for example, you had Mike Oliver yesterday reffing a game. Not every single referee has a game every single day, for example, every single weekend. So you could have had a guy who refereed the Chelsea-Leicester game today. Why couldn't he have been the VAR referee yesterday? And we have proper accredited referees being the VAR referee. But no, the excuse that's
the same reason I've said all along, the fact that there's not enough fucking good referees in the first place. How the fuck can we have the best sporting product in the world and the worst officials?
They're scared of getting injured. How the fuck is sitting in an office, in the middle of a training centre or wherever they are, in front of a screen, going to fucking injure them?
No idea. I remember, was it last year? I think, was it a German league match where the referee marched them all back out at half time to take a penalty? So do you remember the instance I'm talking about? There was I'm sure it was in a German league game or a German cup game or something like that, or there was some game going on somewhere in Europe where the 9 or 10 minutes after the incident took place, the VAR officials decided that action needed to be taken, and the teams were literally brought out of the changing rooms at half time to go back on the pitch and take a penalty. So that happened 9 or 10 minutes after the actual incident. So what's the review period? Is it literally within the first 10 seconds of the incident happening now? Has that law changed?
The problem is, the one thing I will say where I do feel sorry for referees in a way, and the FA, is, let's be honest, as fans, we said about VAR and we said, how long is this going to take? It's going to make games, 3 hours long. You're going to have a night game coming away from it at 1 a.m. Now, I understand a little bit. In a way, the referees are damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because what Oliver should have done yesterday is the VAR should have said, because they have the powers to do this. The fourth official or the VAR referee, the VAR referee, should have said to Oliver yesterday on the Rodri incident, or even on the supposedly handball by Laporte, is that
because touched his arm. Never even touched his fucking arm.
If you actually look at the incident, it's a Tottenham player pulling Laporte's arm in the way. So technically, is that not a penalty? But going back to the thing, why couldn't one of them just said to Oliver, go and have a quick look at the screen? But they're not, because they're now damned if they do and damned if they don't, because they don't want to stop play. They want to keep play moving.
But they made the decision for Oliver. They made the decision for him. They shouldn't be making that decision for him. It's his decision to make.
Have a look at the screen yourself and see what you think. The technology's there. Just it takes a minute or two is not going to take a lot out, especially with a decision like that. Go and have a look.
Not with a match deciding decision. No, absolutely not. They should fucking review that. They should take. I don't care if they take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to review the outcome of a game. If it's for a pissy offside decision, then maybe not. But for something that actually influences the final outcome of the game, of course you need to fucking review that thoroughly. So it's absolute bullshit.
They sat reviewing every single goal last week. You sort of go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Last week, don't get me wrong, we had a moan and we won 5-0. It wasn't great last week, but every decision they virtually got right if we look at it. But this week, because if you look at the West Ham game, they stopped and it might not explain the ground, but they properly reviewed everything. Yesterday, it looked as though it was all rushed.
Well, I will say the same thing in defence of Tottenham, If those two incidents were in reverse, if it was Harry Kane being dragged down in the City area, I would expect a penalty against City. If it was a City defender handballing it and dragging a Tottenham player into the ball, I would expect a penalty or for the goal to stand. So it's not just about Manchester City. I really need to stress that fact. But
exactly, and it comes back to even, like I said, Hugo Lloris and he was pissing himself in laughter. But when the players are taking the piss out of the system, then there's something a little bit wrong somewhere now. Because if the players don't understand what's going on and the fans don't understand what's going on, then this game's in trouble.
It's in massive trouble. Has any statement been made by Pigmull or anyone like that?
We've gone too far.
Has anyone made a statement from Pigmull? Do you not think they should have addressed it?
Should have done, but they haven't, because they won't address it. You know, it's like Pep yesterday. He said that, you know, VAR went for a cup of coffee on the Rodri incident.
He fucking did.
He can't say anything because he gets fined if he says anything. He gets fined if he says anything. But, you know, this is what I mean. It's people's livelihoods. You know, me and you and other match-going fans, we're spending hundreds of pounds. We're in the dark yesterday. We had no idea what was going on. We were celebrating goals, making ourselves look utter dicks. Which, you know, like you said, you didn't want to celebrate the first 2 goals. Is that what football's becoming to now? Like we don't celebrate a goal. Even the players are scared of celebrating now.
I want your final thoughts on this, Martin, because I don't want it to go on for too long. So just give me your final thoughts on this, Paul.
It needs to be reviewed. It needs to be reviewed properly. The rules need to be explained to the players, to the fans, to everyone, exactly how they're going to implement it, what they're going to use it for, and stick to it. They cannot keep changing the rules and saying, well, if it's a clear and obvious, you know, probably clear and obvious decision. What's classed as a clear and obvious decision? They need to make decisions, whether it's going to be used for handballs, whether it's going to be used for offsides, and stick to that. They need to say, right, the referee's going to be allowed to use it for that. We're going to use it for these decisions, but they're not. They're chopping and changing each game how VAR is being used. It needs to be stopped, looked again, and gone, right, this is how we're going to use it, and be transparent with the way it's being used. Because right now, it's about as transparent as mud in water.
Yeah, and if they can't figure out a way to fucking get it right, then they need to just scrap it for now and then reintroduce it when they're more confident, because...
Drawing board and start again.
All right. Cheers, Martin, Paul.
No problem. Take care, Rob.
So that's our little rant over and out with. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Let me know in them comments whether we're just a bunch of crybabies. Let us know whether VAR has ruined football completely. Let us know what your match day going experiences are. Or let us know what your experiences are watching VAR unfold while on TV. Should VAR rules change? Are VAR rules good as they are? What do you think? Is this the death nail for football? As always, guys, if you like our videos, if you like our content, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're a first-time viewer. And don't forget to hit that bell notification. Now, that bell notification will allow you to keep up to date with our latest content. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next one.